Ramsey. And in the blue corner, introducing the undefeated champion. Fighting out of St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, he too weighed 153 pounds. As I said, he is undefeated with 19 wins, no defeats, and 17 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the champion, Julian Jackson.
All set to go. There you see the tail of the tape. Julian Jackson is 3 1/4 inches taller. He's 3 years younger, and he has 2 inches in reach. So everything that you see on the tape there is in the favor of Julian Jackson, the champion. 19-0 from the Virgin Islands, ranked number 4 in the WBA, number 5 in the WBC. In the red trunks, the Continental America's champion, Julian Jackson, taking on Curtis the Razor Ramsey. Ramsey decorated in his black trunks with razor blades for trim. He got the name the Razor because of the fellas that he cut and did such a job on. This is round 1 of a scheduled 12-round championship fight. Watch the movement of the Continental America's champion, Julian Jackson. Watch Curtis Ramsey, real cute fighter, a fellow that's gone the distance with Tony Ayala. Fought Nino LaRocca, David Braxton, fought the likes of John Mugabe, fought Frank the Animal Fletcher for 10 rounds. His last 3 times out, his fights have gone 10 rounds. And Julian Jackson, on the other hand, has never had to go 10 rounds in his career. In fact, he's never had to fight over 6. He knocks out most of his opponents. So we're underway here in round 1. Working with me, Larry Holmes, Don King, the promoter, sitting here with us. I'm Bob Shorten. Glad that you can be with us on the Don King Sports and Entertainment Network. Larry, some opening observations.
Well, Jackson is a good boxer. He got that good lateral movement, got a good jab, and he got a good left hook. That's what you got to watch out with Jackson. But looking at Curtis the Razor, he got a quick 1-2 punch. So I'm looking forward for a good fight.
Well, this is moving up in class for Julian Jackson, and this shows, but he's trying to tee off. He's got Ramsey in a bit of trouble here. Jackson just shows no fear as he pours in on him, and he's really tagged Ramsey again with the right hand. 2 or 3 right hands. Ramsey trying to the body and trying with the uppercut with the left and right. Jackson just really teeing off midway through round number 1 against Ramsey. Ramsey came into this fight the best shape of his life and felt like he could really give a boxing lesson to Julian Jackson. But maybe Jackson has the ability that certainly his record shows. He's really doing a job here to establish himself against Ramsey in round number 1.
Well, Ramsey got caught. He walked into a punch. He got caught. And that's what happens in boxing. It looked like he slowed up a little bit because Jackson came on. But the round is still not over. He's taking a punch, and now it's over.
Ramsey had better throw some shots or he's going to get caught here with the referee. Yeah. He's in big trouble now. That right hand really landed. His legs are wobbly. We're only in round 1. And Julian Jackson really putting on a show here. Again, folks, this was moving up in class, fighting the likes of Curtis Ramsey. Ramsey, by the way, is a steel worker in Georgia, and he had a full month to train for this fight. Really there with the right hand again. Julian Jackson wants to end this one as quick as he's ended all of the fights that he's been involved in so far. Another left hook lands, another left hook. And he has Ramsey in a heap of trouble. 23 seconds remaining in the round.
Jackson landed some good punches in there, and I thought the fight was over. Curtis took some good punches in there, Bob.
Down goes Ramsey.
You still don't know where exactly he's at yet, but he's still holding on there.
Kind of an unusual sign by the referee, Padilla. I thought that he had a notion of stopping the fight there. He didn't even give a count to Curtis the Razor. And there's the end of round 1, an exciting round 1 for Julian Jackson. It certainly was an exciting fight.
That was a good round 1, I tell you, man. I thought the fight would have been over, but it shows you that Curtis can take a punch. So let's see what happens the second round.
Well, you see them working in the corner. Mike Morton, Stan Tisler, and Milberger will show you the action from early in the round. This, again, remember, is round number 1. Watch Julian Jackson just tease off with the right hand, works to the body with the left, comes right back upstairs with the left hook to the head. That's a good sign of a good fighter when you see a guy work the double hook.
Well, Jackson always impressed me. I watched him for a few other fights, and he got good lateral movement, good jabs, and he throws a good right hand and a left hook. So, you know, this kid got a lot of potential.
Well, Don King is sitting with us. Don, all I have to say is if Julian continues to do the job on a guy that has so much ring experience like Ramsey, you're going to be looking for him for a title shot pretty soon.
Yes, indeed. I'll be looking. Tommy Herman's going to watch out because Julian is on his way. I just hope he can continue to perform like he has been performing. And the crowd is really great. It's a sellout crowd here, Bob. It's something that's first done in Las Vegas and done by the Don King production. We have a wonderful crowd here. It's a sellout, and we really feel good about that. I know Pierce Zadura and Rickless feels wonderful about it, too.
Well, more than a sellout. I understand they had to put 200 or 300 more seats in, and you even sold all those in the past 12 hours.
That's fantastic.
Don King and the Riviera, marriage has been made, and the success is here. And this fight is no exception. Julian Jackson in the red trunks, the Continental America Super Welterweight champion, taking on Curtis the Razor Ramsey. And again, Ramsey has been in with the best, and this was considered a real step up in class for Julian Jackson. And he so far has met the test.
Jackson is doing the things that he got to do. He's waiting, being patient. He's waiting for that open. He keeps that jab out there, and he tries to counter with that right hand. I think he's doing a real good thing.
Jackson getting a little bit more patient here in the second round, looking for his opportunity. This is all a sign of a guy that really has championship caliber. He has the training, the ability, the sense, the ring wherewithal to do exactly what he wants to do in there. Razor just hasn't been able to do a thing with him at all. Curtis Ramsey out of Portland, Oregon, living and working in College Park, Georgia. Just had a daughter on the 4th of August and wanted to dedicate the fight to her. He considered this fight a turning point in his career, and you can see that he has some slick moves himself, but Julian Jackson just doesn't really respect his power at all. And this is the second round. Jackson backing him up, very conscious of everything that Ramsey is doing and just trying to move him different ways and set him up with the hooks to drop that right hand.
Well, you got to be very careful with Ramsey because Ramsey still throws that sharp right hand after that left jab. So, you got to be careful. He doubled up on that left hook.
Right now, you see, as Ramsey was coming in twice on 2 different occasions, Julian Jackson beat him to the punch with a left hook inside as Ramsey was coming in with the right hand.
No question, Jackson has that speed, but he still has to be careful because this kid he's been around, he had 24 fights, and he had 17 knockouts himself. So, he can punch, so Jackson got to be careful still.
And although Ramsey has 18 losses, one thing we should point out, a lot of the fights that he took on short notice. He was working in a steel foundry and really didn't have the time to train. He told me that he has trained his heart out for this fight, and Julian Jackson certainly established himself in round number 1. Round number 2, a little bit more cruising, a little bit more, just kind of looking for the shots to open up.
I think Ramsey got himself back together now. I think that it's going to be a good fight.
Big room here where Julian Jackson is taking on Curtis the Razor Ramsey. Round 3 of a scheduled 12-round Super Welterweight Continental America's Championship fight. Bob Sheridan with Don King and, of course, the heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes, sharing the microphone with us.
Jackson came out again, but he got to start doubling up on that jab. He's just throwing one jab and trying to set up with that right hand. But he got to double up on that jab if he want to get this guy Curtis out of here. Because Curtis Ramsey is throwing left hooks and right hands, and he's throwing like he want to take his head off.
Well, now it looks to me that Jackson is just really showing much more respect, Larry, than he did in the first round. Ramsey showing his experience here a lot. Jackson not panicking though.
Jackson just got Ramsey just got hit with a good right hand by Jackson, but he comes back. He goes and lands a couple good ones himself.
Julian Jackson not afraid to take a shot now for the first time. I can't ever recall seeing him hang on in any other fight. But Jackson now has a real serious look at his face, and he is getting a little bit of a lesson because, again, where he looked so powerful in the first round, Ramsey does have the experience and the ring sense and the ring smarts to be able to have recovered from an awful assault in the first round.
If you notice, Ramsey got hit with a good right hand, and he came back and fought his way right out of the hurt. And he had Jackson up on the rope, so it's a good fight, Bob.
We're halfway through round number 3 in the scheduled 10-rounder. This is the best round for the Razor Ramsey so far. Jackson, you have the feeling, is much stronger, but Ramsey is certainly a slick fighter and definitely the best fighter that Julian Jackson has faced in his career. Left hook scoring. This is the most I've seen Jackson ever hit, Larry, in the 3 or 4 fights that we telecast here featuring Julian Jackson.
The reason why good uppercut, he's hurt that day. Jackson got hurt that time. And the reason why he got hurt, Bob, because he's waiting to land a right hand to knock him out. You can't knock him out. You got to box into it. Get his way in, work his way right into position because he'll get hurt waiting for a punch.
Real good right hand landed by Ramsey. as this fight progresses here in round number 3. Julian Jackson was tagged pretty quick, and then a right hand, and the uppercut surprised him. But like you're saying, Larry, Julian's got to go back to boxing, get that left hand out there, get it set up, work behind the left, and then drop his right. He's too anxious to throw the right hand.
And sometimes you wait to throw that right hand, hold it all day long, and you never land it. And that's what I did with Ernest Shavers. He was waiting to throw that, drop that right hand on me, and I just kept moving out of the range of that right hand and never land. And this is what's happening to Jackson right now. And he's taking a punch. He's taking a punishment this round.
Well, Jackson has never had a fighter that's given him this kind of a problem before. He's going to learn to take a fight. Don't forget, so far this year, Carlton Brown, Eddie Gazzo, J.J. Cottrell, and Ron Warrior for the Continental American Championship have all been victimized by Julian Jackson. And now the question is, can Curtis Ramsey come up with the type of effort in round 4 that he had in round 3 against this real tough young fighter, Julian Jackson? When I say young, Curtis Ramsey's only 26, so he should be right in the prime of his career. Hit in the third round. He seems to have regathered his composure and is back to business here now in round 4.
Still in all, he got to come out and use that jab. Stick that jab in there and then set that right hand up. Don't go into war. You don't go into trading. He's best at boxing. That's what he got to do.
Very, very good point. When you're a boxer, use your tools. Don't go trading punches with a guy like Ramsey. Julian was so successful in the first round that he wanted to keep it going, and all of a sudden, Curtis Ramsey had a tendency to twist things around in round 3. We're in round 4. The pace is slowed a bit, but it looks like Jackson is looking for the opportunity and getting a little bit smarter about boxing this man.
That's what he got to do. He's boxing, standing on the outside now, and using that jab on that right hand. That's what he got to do. And he can set the man up that way, but once you get in the corner and start trading, it's no good.
Ramsey has a little bit of the cockiness when he doesn't get hit or he doesn't get hit flush. He shakes the head. I wanted to see how Julian Jackson would react to this type of treatment because he's never had to face this in the ring. Thus far, he's cruised through most of his fights.
Well, you should have to go through it every now and then because it wakes you up. It makes you alert that somebody out there is trying to take your head off.
Again, round 4, both fighters looking for the opportunity to drop punches. As Larry said, Julian has got to continue to box. A minute to go in round 4. Good body shot. Real good body shot. Jackson goes to the uppercut and pushes Ramsey back, gets him off balance a bit. Nice shot inside, but a good job by Ramsey counterpunching.
Oh, yeah, Ramsey's counterpunching good, but Jackson is doing what he got to do. He's still using that jab, and he's setting that right hand up, which he's supposed to do. But Jackson, Ramsey is still trying to counter. You got to watch that.
Real good action in round 4. You see the time remaining. Inside of 15 seconds.
Put the pressure on Jackson, try to make him tired, use his energy because Jackson needs room to box. If you get in a trade with him, he ain't effective.
Only twice since 1982 has Julian Jackson had to go as far as 5 rounds. We're in the 5th round. It'll be interesting to see. Of course, he trains down in the Virgin Islands where there's a lot of heat and humidity, and we're inside here with air conditioning. So you just wonder, though, when your fella hasn't, and you haven't seen him go beyond 5 rounds or into 5 rounds very often, how he'll react. Julian certainly seems frustrated.
Well, that can tell. Training in the Virgin Islands, it all depends how often that he trains because it's so hot out there. And he can easily overtrain with all the heat. But coming here in the air-conditioned place, he should be adjusted. He should be ready.
All right, we're in round 5. Those are the comments of the world heavyweight champ, Larry Holmes. Don King sitting here with us. Don, you talked about the big fight coming up for Larry
Yeah, that's going to be a super fight with him and Jerry Coetzee, and it's the beginning of eliminating all these champions and coming into one supreme champion. And that's what we're in the process of doing now. Larry Holmes, when he fights Coetzee, will then take on the winner of the Pinkland, Thomas, and Witherspoon fight. So it's going to be an exciting series of heavyweight bouts, and it's going to be great.
All right. The comments of Don King. I'm Bob Sheridan. We're in round 5. This is the 12-round Continental American Super Welterweight Championship fight. Julian Jackson, the champ in the red trunks, facing the more experienced Curtis Ramsey. More experience in the caliber of fighters of the Frank the Animal Fletcher. He's got John Mugabe, who fought David Braxton, Nino LaRocca, went 10 rounds with Donald Curry and Tony Ayala. So he's been in with the best. In the 5th round, this is only the 3rd time in 3 years that Julian Jackson has had to go as far as the 5th round. And the pace has slowed down just a bit as both fighters have got a lot more business-like. And as they say that, the pace picks up immediately.
They're really slugging it out in there. I can tell you that this is an exciting fight. It's a good match for Julian. And it shows that we match him with quality and with comparativeness. Competition is what makes this game. This is explosive bout here.
And this is what Jackson needs. Jackson needs this kind of fight. He needs to know that he can fight beyond 5 rounds. And this is a good test for him. This is a good experience. But Curtis Ramsey is not no pushover. So Jackson's out there. He got his hands full. He got to be on his toes every minute.
He also ran into a fellow that's trying to turn his career around. Don't forget, Curtis Ramsey's only 26 years old. He's at the stage in his career where he could turn it around if he could get away from his job and just concentrate on boxing. But he has a family to support and whatnot. Really hasn't had the time to devote to boxing, and his record has shown that. The guy has the tools if somebody could handle him and work with him and let him fight all the time.
And that's what the case of most American boxing. Good uppercut by Ramsey landed on Jackson. And this is what Jackson got to be very careful of. He's running into those.
Right, now.
All right, wipe it off with the towel.
Since his very first fight back in February of 1981 and his first fight of 1982, March 20th, against Billy Page in Atlantic City, the last time that Julian Jackson had to go 6 rounds. So only twice in his career has Julian had to go 6 rounds. On the other hand, Curtis Ramsey in his past 3 fights, has gone 10 rounds. So he's well able to go the distance here. And we'll just have to see who is in the better shape as the things continue to develop here. We're in the 6th round of a scheduled 12-round Continental America's Super Welterweight fight. The principals, Julian Jackson in the red trunks, Curtis the Razor Ramsey in the black trunks. Very good boxing match. A real flurry by Julian Jackson in the first round. Took total control. I think at one stage, Carlos Padilla, the 3rd man in the ring, the referee, had a notion to stop the fight in the first round, and then he caught himself and let the thing go on. Ramsey was off his feet in that round, but no count was ever commenced. And Ramsey got back up, and the fight has kind of swung around a little bit in terms of evening up a bit here into the 6th round. Julian Jackson still looking very, very fresh, very businesslike, knowing exactly what he wants to do in there. A real good opportunity for him to get a lesson from the experience of Ramsey.
They both are talking a long way. I'm sorry, Don.
Both of them are talking to each other, and they're really fighting. They don't like each other.
Two fellows, one young fellow that knows that he needs to knock off Ramsey to get a shot at the title, and the other fellow, a real game competitor that's given up his job and gone training for the past 4 weeks to get ready for Julian Jackson, knows that this is the opportunity for him to turn his whole life around if he can knock off Julian. So you can understand, Don King, why they don't like each other.
That's right. That's right. This is going for the gold.
And each man is standing in the way of each other's fortunes and dreams, and that's the nature of sport.
Ramsey having throw that short right hand that he was throwing earlier in the first 1 or 2 rounds. He threw a good right hand off his jab, but now he's not doing that. He's just trying to push the right hand out.
Jackson seems to be all business, and he's really not setting it up with that left hand as much as he did in the first round. He's going right hand, leads a little bit with Larry.
Yes, but what I did notice on Ramsey there, he counter-punching with an uppercut. And he's talking to the crowd. Instead of concentrating on his job, he should be concentrating on the job instead of talking to the crowd.
This is round 6. Julian Jackson, all business. Larry said Curtis Ramsey was talking to the crowd, as along with the heavyweight champ Larry Holmes and the Don King Sports and Entertainment Network, we're coming to you live from the Riviera Hotel and Casino. And we've got a real good one going here, a 12-round Continental American Super Welterweight Championship. John, we should talk a little bit about what the Continental America's title is and what it's all about. It's really an arm of the WBC.
Yes, it is. It came on all the Latin American, South America, Central America, and Mexico, Canada, and United States. So it's a pretty worthy title.
It's a title that really takes in about half the boxing world. And also the important thing, as I was instructed by the officials of the WBC, Marty Cohen was telling me that if you win this title, you automatically move into the top 20 ranking of the WBC. So it would be very valuable if Ramsey could turn things around here and beat Julian Jackson in his career.
Would be a major upset for Ramsey, and it would certainly put him on the road to getting a world title fight.
So that tells you a little bit about the Continental of Americas. And it's not new, by the way. There's been over 70 Continental of Americas title championship fights. So it's not a new title. It's relatively new up in this area as far as exposure is concerned, because we kind of concentrate on North American Boxing Federation and USBA fights up here, where the Continental Americas takes in all of Canada, South America, Central America, or the Caribbean. Right now, we're in round 7. We've got a war going on here between Julian Jackson and Curtis Ramsey.
What Jackson have done, he's switched to southpaw. I don't think that's good on his part. I think he's doing very well with the jab, and I think he should get back to that, because he can get caught with the right hand very easy.
I don't understand. I haven't seen him do this before. Why he would turn around like this, Larry? Why would a guy do this? Is he just trying to catch Ramsey off guard, or just what?
I don't know, unless he just got power in both hands, and so far the evidence is not there for that.
Well, of course, Julian Jackson defeated such formidable opponents as former world champ Eddie Gazzo, J.J. Cottrell, Jake Torrance, but he did it with relative ease. I can't understand why a guy with the ability of Jackson would turn around and start fighting southpaw. I really can't, but that's what he's done.
What happened now is Ramsey, though, lost his concentration. He lost his concentration to the crowd, and I don't think he should lose his concentration. He should concentrate right on Jackson, because Jackson is the one that's throwing the punches. Nobody out here can help him.
Jackson just throwing bombs from both sides. There's one thing for sure, that Julian doesn't look as classy boxing left-handed as he is now as when he's fighting right-handed.
Oh, no, I think it's a very mistake, a big mistake, because he don't really have the power with that right hand, so he should turn back and fight his normal fight.
Don, you might note around now, this is as far as Julian Jackson has ever had to go in his career. He's back fighting right-handed again, too. I think they straightened him out over in his corner in a hurry.
This is what he was doing early in the first round. Ramsey had a good right hand, and he hurt Jackson with that right hand. And all you got to do is keep putting that right hand together behind that jab or that left hook, and you might see a winner here. A new champion.
Julian nailed with the right hand, followed up with a left. Real good left hand, catches Jackson again.
See, this is going into the 8th round. Jackson has never been into the 8th round. This is all new to him.
There's a whole new feeling, Larry. You can explain a little bit. When the fatigue factor sets in, the heart sometimes has a tendency to shrivel up a bit.
Oh, yeah. You know, when you're tired, your whole body gets tired. Your arms get tired, your legs get tired, everything gets tired when you're tired. And this is what's happening to Jackson. He's getting tired, but Ramsey's also tired, but he still wants that, he still has that determination.
But again, we pointed out the fact that early in the fight that this is no strange territory for Curtis Ramsey. He has gone 10 rounds, the past 3 times out, and many times in his career, where Julian's the younger fighter who never has had to go beyond 6 in his career. Carlos Padilla warned Julian about leaning over on the body. What Julian is trying to do is wear down Curtis Ramsey, but referee Padilla could take a point away if he continues to do it. Right hand landed by Julian.
I think it's significant to note, too, that when Julian changes styles again back to right hand, it takes him a little time to get used to what he's doing again in order to pace himself and to use the tools that he has. That's how he got hit with those right hands and things.
Your timing changes when you switch from southpaw back to right hand.
You got to get his body back into synchronization, you know what I mean?
But, you know, fatigue can make a guy do strange things like that, too, Don. Trying to just catch a different movement or something. Immediately in their corner, they've corrected him. I don't think, or I'd be very surprised if we see him go back to fighting southpaw again.
Well, that's what's so good about boxing. It's an electrifying sport. It's unpredictable. Anything can happen. And when you put competitive matches in the ring, anything can happen. Either one can win. That's what competition is all about.
Well, you've got that situation here for sure.
Ramsey is tired. He's tired. He gave his shot early, and now he's going to try to waste that shot out, survive the round, and hoping that Jackson fatigues with him so they can get together again. Larry, it's tired.
Larry, a thing I always look for is the knees and the legs of the fighter. When you see them get loosened around the knees, you know that fatigue has really set in.
Yes, that's a sign. That's one sign, Bob. Also, fatigue is when a guy's getting hit in the lot.
As we come up here to round 9 in this Continental Americas, the Dokes Code see a fight. I get several pieces of mail from South Africa, so there's boxing all over the world if they watch the Non-King Sports and Entertainment Network.
Yes, they do, and it's going to be exciting. And I know that Larry will prove it to be just that when he takes on Jerry Coetzee as the WBA champion sometime this year.
I'm knocking him out, Don.
Right on.
Punch him in his mouth.
All right, the comments of the heavyweight champ and the comments of the promoter extraordinaire. So right now we have an extraordinary fight going on in the ring. Julian Jackson and Curtis Ramsey. Ramsey has come to fight. In fact, I thought Ramsey won the last round and could be in the process of turning things around unless Jackson continues to cut things off and really turn it back in his favor again. Time for this fight to go either way unless Julian Jackson really can show his wares in one of these last 4 rounds. And so far, the 9th round is a fairly even round. Larry, we're talking about the fatigue showing in the legs right there towards the end of the 8th round. In the 9th round now, you see how sloppy the legs and the movement of Curtis Ramsey as opposed to Julian Jackson.
Yeah, Ramsey is tired. He was tired a couple rounds ago, and he's putting his punches together as much as he can, but that fatigue is setting in. He's got to get that second win and pour it on. But still in all, Jackson's got to be careful because he's still trying to counterpunch.
And we continue to point out that this is an area in his career that Julian Jackson has never been. It's the twilight zone for him in a way because he's in the 9th round. He's never had to go beyond 6 rounds in his career.
But he seems to be putting his punches together effectively. He's still in there strong. You can see he's in good shape. He trained very hard for this fight.
Both fighters are in extremely good shape. Nice left hook landed that time by Julian Jackson. A minute to go in the round. That's a sign of fatigue, too. It's the first time we've seen Curtis Ramsey drop the gloves all the way down. And Julian stayed right on him and was able to nail it.
Ramsey is ready to quit now. He's tired. He can't go too much more than that. Looks like he's ready to quit. He's going to give it all he got because his balance is gone. And he's just tired. He's fatigued. He don't really want to fight anymore, Bob.
Exactly. He fell down of exhaustion that time. You can see that he's really concerned because Julian Jackson is just telegraphing his shots. He's lining him up and almost measuring him. He's trying to set it up with the right hand and drop him with the left hook is what he's trying to do.
One good punch and here it's all over. But Jackson is still punching, throwing no punches in there. But yeah, he haven't landed a clear punch yet. As soon as he lands a clear punch, I think this fight will be over. Unless Ramsey is playing possum.
I don't think he is, the way the legs look and the way he's falling around. Continental America Super Welterweight Championship fight. Bob Sheridan along with Larry Holmes, the heavyweight champ, and Don King, the heavyweight of boxing promoters. And he is promoting a blockbuster on the 31st, Friday the 31st, right here in the Riviera Hotel. Tim Witherspoon, Pinklon Thomas, Greg Page, David Bay, and Michael Dynamite Dokes, all on that same card. We'll be talking more about that later on, but this one, the Continental America Super Welterweight Championship. In the red trunks, Julian Jackson. Unofficially, I have him out in front in the fight.
Them body shots is taking a toll, Bob. He's really laying them body shots in there on him.
And it's really more or less the difference in the fight that he has the wherewithal and the ring smarts to work downstairs to the body. Now you see Carlos Padilla say, come on up. And again, I point out when you see a low blow, like your fight, Jerry Cooney didn't mean to go low, but nonetheless, it's still a foul.
Well, Bob, that's what you're saying. I'm not saying that he did. I think he meant to go low blow. You know, He only hit me 100 times.
Larry, I would expect you to say that. Hopefully someday you get a chance to fight him again. I would love to see that.
Jerry is still loony.
All right, we're in round 10 again here, scheduled for 12. Field quick fight. Nice jab that time, landed by Curtis the Razor.
He was counting with a right hand.
Jackson, except for that little bit back in round number 7, where he went around and fought southpaw, has been all right-handed since. And he's been much more effective. He certainly looks to be the fresh of the two and done. You pointed out the good fact. I think it's been the body punches that have been the difference thus far. Minute to go in the 10th round. Nice exchange here in the middle of the ring. Little second win by Curtis Ramsey.
When Ramsey threw a good punches that time, he landed some good punches in there on Jackson.
Jackson not afraid to go with that right-hand lead.
Jackson is tired too. He's not fresh anymore, but he's still pushing it out. Throwing good punches, good left hooks in there.
Nice job showing you the ability and the coordination of a skilled, a gifted athlete such as Jackson. He was off balance, caught himself off balance, turned around and landed a shot. Ramsey showing me a lot of hot hit too.
Yes, he is. He's fighting back right away.
Good shots being landed here. All by Jackson. Holmes, Norton, some of the real great fights of our time been promoted by Don King, and this is no exception.
Back at that southpaw again.
This kind of surprises me very, very much to see him back fighting southpaw. I really didn't expect to see it. You wonder now, Don, could this be coming from the corner?
Well, Ramsey, excuse me, I'm sorry, Ramsey don't know exactly how to handle this southpaw style because, as you know, every time Jackson goes southpaw, Ramsey backs off and don't go that way.
He has, Julian Jackson, that is, has so much power in both hands.
Gotta get close, fighter.
I think a guy that has the ability that he has really doesn't need to resort to what I would call trickery or any sort of things like this to beat a guy like Ramsey. I think he'd be better off to stay his right-handed orthodox style and do the job. Although he's fairly effective here because Ramsey is so fatigued.
Yeah, why take a chance? When things working for you, don't spoil it. Don't change up because when you change up, anything can happen.
Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to speak to him at the end of this fight so we can find out exactly why he's doing this. It'll be one of the key factors. Again, it's a close fight, but I would say Jackson is out in front comfortably in the fight, and Ramsey would need to really almost try and take him out with a knockout to win the fight here. But Julian doesn't want to get caught by this guy. Ramsey has an awful lot of experience, almost out in the first round, and since then it's been a real good boxing show. Round 1 was a war, and since then it's been a battle. Ramsey's had real good rounds in the 3rd, the 5th, and the 8th. We're in round 11. Again, as Don said, virgin territory for Julian Jackson. Two nice uppercuts landed by Jackson. Ramsey's legs look like they're ready to go, but his heart doesn't want to look.
Push it in. Push it in.
Minute to go in the 11th round. Don, when you see a good effort by a guy like Ramsey, the fight, of course, is not over, but would you bring a guy like Ramsey back on the show again? He's put on a real good show when it looked like he was really finished in the first round.
Most certainly, he showed the heart of a fighter. He's put on a very good show. He's a class boxer, and I'm very happy to see this kind of show because it really vindicates the faith we put in a fighter. When you put him in there, you don't want nobody to go and lay down. You want him to go in there and fight. That's what the public comes to see. That's what they paid for. That's why we got a sellout crowd, and he's doing his job to get the people their money's worth, and that's what I like.
All right, you see the time remaining in round number 11 inside of 20 seconds right now. Another good shot landed by Julian Jackson. But as Don was pointing out, this is the type of guy that you want to bring back again. Ramsey really showing the heart here. He wanted to dedicate this fight to his new baby daughter, 9 pounds. Hey. All right, here we go. Let's see which way Julian decides to fight, whether he's going southbound. Looks like he's coming back orthodox now. All right, back fighting right-handed, jabbing with the left. Julian Jackson from St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. He's ranked 4th by the WBA, 5th by the WBC. Real good shot. He might have Ramsey in some trouble here. He's nailed it with another right hand. But Diaz watching very closely to move in and stop the fight.